For decades, we have been told the same story about growing potatoes. You're told to grab a heavy shovel, dig a deep trench, break your back under the sun, and then spend the next 3 months hilling up soil around the plants. It is a cycle of labor that ends with you digging again, often accidentally slicing half your harvest with a spade. But what if I told you that the secret to massive yields isn't in the digging? What if I told you that by disturbing the soil, you are actually working against the very machine you're trying to build? Welcome to a different way of thinking. Today, we are going to look at the garden as a production system, a biological machine that thrives when we stop interfering with its mechanics. Every time you turn the soil with a shovel, you are destroying the intricate web of life that potatoes need to thrive. You are killing the fungal networks, collapsing the air pockets, and bringing dormant weed seeds to the surface where they can steal your crop's nutrients. The method I am about to show you, often called the no-dig or lazy bed potato method, isn't just about saving your back. It's about 80% less effort, yes, but more importantly, it's about 100% better results. We are going to stop fighting the earth and start collaborating with it. By the end of this guide, you will understand how to program your garden to produce clean, large, and abundant potatoes while you sit back and watch the biological machine do the heavy lifting. The biological logic of the no-dig potato. To understand why this works, we have to look at how a potato plant actually functions. A potato is not a root. It is a modified stem called a tuber. In a traditional system, we bury the seed potato deep because we want the stems to stay in the dark. In the dark, the stems produce tubers. In the light, they produce leaves. The mistake most gardeners make is thinking that darkness can only be provided by heavy, compacted soil. In reality, a potato plant doesn't care if it's covered by dirt, straw, leaves, or old compost. It only cares that it is dark, moist, and rich in nutrients. In fact, soil is often the worst medium for a developing tuber. Soil is heavy, it creates friction, and it hides pests. When a potato has to push against compacted earth to grow, it uses energy that could have been used to make the tuber larger. In our no-dig system, we use a deep mulch strategy. We place the seed potato on the surface of the soil, the biological interface, and cover it with a thick layer of organic matter. This creates a high-oxygen, low-resistance environment. The tubers grow in the loose mulch, expanding effortlessly to their maximum genetic potential. Because there is no friction, the potatoes come out perfectly shaped. Because there is no digging, the soil structure below remains intact, allowing the roots to tap into deep water reserves that traditional gardeners lose through evaporation. This is the logic of efficiency. We are providing the plant with exactly what it needs while removing every obstacle in its path. Step 1. Programming the seed and the surface. Every successful operation begins with high-quality input. For our lazy bed co-may machine, that input is the seed potato. 2 weeks before you plant a plant, you must chit your potatoes. This simply means placing them in a cool, bright place to encourage short, sturdy green sprouts. This isn't just an aesthetic choice, it's a warm-up for the plant's engine. By pre-sprouting, you ensure that as soon as the potato touches the ground, it is ready to grow. Now, let's talk about the ground. Remember our title. Stop digging. You do not need to till. You do not need to turn the soil. If you have a patch of grass or weeds, simply mow it as short as possible. If the soil is particularly poor, you can lay down a single layer of plain, non-printed cardboard. This acts as a weed suppressor that will eventually decompose into food for worms. On top of your mowed grass or cardboard, spread a thin layer of well-rotted compost, no more than an inch. Think of this as the startup fuel for the machine. This layer provides the immediate nitrogen and microbes the potato needs to establish its first roots. We aren't burying the potato, we are creating an inviting bed for it. This setup preserves the soil's capillary action, meaning water will move upward from the deep ground to your plant naturally, a feature you destroy the moment you pick up a shovel. Step 2. The layering protocol. Now comes the part where we save 80% of our labor. In a traditional garden, this is the stage where you would spend hours digging holes. In our system, we simply place and cover. Take your chitted potatoes and place them directly on top of the compost or cardboard. Space them about 12 inches apart in every direction. If you are using rows, keep the rows 15 inches apart. Press them down just enough so they don't roll away. That's it. That is all the planting labor you will do. The next step is the most critical: the mulch. You need to cover these potatoes with 10 to 12 inches of loose organic material. My preferred material is spoiled hay or straw, but you can use shredded leaves, grass clippings, dried first, or even well-aged wood chips. Why so thick? This layer is the housing for your production machine. It regulates temperature, preventing the soil from getting too hot or too cold. It holds moisture like a sponge, meaning you will rarely need to water. And most importantly, it creates total darkness. If sunlight reaches a potato, it turns green and becomes toxic. A foot of straw is the perfect shield. This single act of heavy mulching replaces the months of hilling that traditional gardeners have to perform. You are doing the work once, at the beginning, so you don't have to do it every weekend for the rest of the summer. Step 3. System maintenance and troubleshooting. Once your machine is set up, your job shifts from laborer to observer. For the next few weeks, you will see the green shoots of the potato plants piercing through the straw. It is a beautiful sight, vibrant, strong, and growing with a speed that will surprise you. Maintenance in this system is minimal. If you see a potato tuber peeking through the top of the mulch, simply toss another handful of straw on top of it. This is lazy hilling. No shovels, no dirt under your fingernails, just a simple flick of the wrist. Watering is also simplified. Because the straw acts as a massive insulation blanket, the soil beneath stays moist even in the heat of July. You only need to water if you stick your hand deep into the mulch and find the soil bone dry. In most climates, the natural rainfall captured by the mulch is enough to fuel the entire growth cycle. What about pests? Because we haven't disturbed the soil, we haven't killed the predatory insects that live there. Ground beetles and spiders find a perfect home in the straw, and they spend their nights hunting the slugs and Colorado potato beetles that usually plague a garden. You aren't just growing potatoes, you are building an ecosystem that defends itself. This is the ultimate goal of the Effortless method: creating a system that requires your intervention only when it's time to collect the profit. The microclimate of the mulch, a hidden ecosystem. While you are sitting on your porch, your potato machine is busy creating its own atmosphere. Inside that 12-inch layer of straw, something miraculous is happening. You have created a microclimate. Unlike traditional soil, which bakes under the sun and freezes at night, this thick organic blanket acts as a thermal regulator. It keeps the developing tubers at a constant, cool temperature, exactly what the potato genetic code demands for peak starch production. But the real magic is invisible. Underneath this mulch, the humidity remains at a near constant 90%. This is the sweet spot for soil biology. Because the surface of the earth is no longer exposed to the drying wind, billions of microorganisms rise to the topsoil. Mycorrhizal fungi begin to weave their silver threads between your potato roots and the surrounding earth, acting as a biological internet that brings minerals from meters away directly to your plant. In a dug garden, these fungi are shredded by the shovel. In your Effortless system, they are thriving employees of your production line. You'll also notice an explosion in the earthworm population. These natural engineers are working 24/7, tunneling through the soil and leaving behind nutrient-rich castings. They are doing the digging for you, aerating the roots far more effectively than any mechanical tool ever could. By choosing not to dig, you haven't just saved your back. You've hired 1 billion tiny workers to manage the underground infrastructure of your garden machine. This isn't just gardening, it's high-level biological management. The harvest, reaping the rewards. This is the moment that makes the no-dig method legendary. In a traditional garden, harvesting potatoes is a brutal, dirty task. You dig and dig, praying you don't spear a beautiful potato with your fork. It's muddy, it's exhausting, and it takes hours. In our system, the harvest is an act of pure joy. When the plants turn yellow and die back in late summer, it means the machine has finished its work. The tubers are fully charged with energy. To harvest, you simply walk to your bed and pull back the straw with your hands. Imagine the sound of rustling straw and the sight of clean, golden potatoes sitting on the surface. There they are, clean, smooth, and sitting right on the surface of the soil or nestled in the bottom layer of the mulch. No mud to wash off, no broken skins from a shovel. You can pick them up as if you were shopping at a grocery store, but these are fresher, tastier, and grown by your own design. Because the soil underneath was never compacted, it is now incredibly soft and fertile, filled with earthworms that have been feasting on your mulch all season. You have harvested your crop, and in the process, you have actually made your garden better for the next plant. You haven't just taken from the earth, you have participated in a cycle of abundance. The Master's Summary: Why this wins. Let's recap the math of this effortless method. 0 digging, 0 hilling, minimal weeding, minimal watering, and clean, massive yields. When we say 80% less effort, we aren't being lazy. We are being efficient. We are using our human intelligence to set up a system that allows nature to do what it does best. This is the essence of the John Seymour philosophy. Understanding the rhythms of the earth so well that you don't need to force it to produce. If you are tired of the back-breaking labor that usually comes with a vegetable patch, I want you to try this. Dedicate just one small area of your garden to the no-dig straw method this year. Watch how the plants respond. Feel the soil become more alive under your feet. And when harvest time comes, feel the satisfaction of picking up your food with clean hands. The garden is not a place for struggle. It is a place for abundance. Stop digging, start mulching, and let your potato machine show you what is truly possible when you work with nature instead of against it. I'll see you in the garden. Don't forget to share your results. I can't wait to see the clean, massive yields you'll produce this season. Happy growing!